federal election campaign is underway and Canadians will head to the polls on April 28th. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Liberal leader Mark Carney officially triggered the election yesterday just before Parliament was set to be recalled from prorogation.
Just 37 days long, this will be a very swift campaign for voters and the candidates, including those in our region. Brendan Miller joins us in studio now. Brendan, you were able to speak with some of the local candidates and gather their thoughts and feelings for day 2 of the campaign.
That is correct, Haley. And so far, there's an overall consensus among candidates in all parties that they're ready for this snap election. With this 5-week campaign now underway, there's a lot of work to be done and little time to do it. But the party nominees all say they're confident in their campaign teams. In Thunder Bay, Superior, and North Riding, there are 3 declared candidates so far. Longtime Liberal incumbent Patty Haidu is being challenged this time around by Bob Herman for the Conservatives and Joy Wakefield for the NDP. Haidu says her preparations have been underway for some time.
We are always ready for an election in a minority government. As a matter of fact, I don't stop in between elections ensuring that I have a strong volunteer base, that we have regular donors, and that we're well funded and ready to fight the election, the campaign whenever the election is called. And so I'm fully ready.
For his first stint in politics, Herman's plan is to reach out and really understand what's at stake for Canadians during this election.
It is a large region. My plans are to attend all the outlying communities that are part of Thunder Bay Superior North. I also plan to do a lot of door knocking within Thunder Bay itself. I mean, I think it's very important for a candidate to get out there and listen to what the concerns are of the people that you want to elect you and so that you can represent them properly.
Moving to Thunder Bay Rainy River, the Conservatives have announced their candidate for that riding. Brendan Hyatt was not made available for an interview. According to his website, he was the deputy reeve in the township of Lavallee and served as director of education for the Northwest Catholic District School Board. The Liberal incumbent in Thunder Bay Rainy River is Marcus Pulowski, while Yuk Sem-Won is back again for the NDP. She believes her experience in running for different levels of government gives her an edge.
That outreach that I've been doing over the past 6 years really helps me build towards this campaign now. So I feel really good about the work that I've done over the past 6 years for this campaign because it's going to be short, it's going to be fast, and we need to hit the ground running, and I think I really have the ability to do that.
Brendan Miller, TBT News.
Dealing with U.S. President Donald Trump, specifically his ongoing tariff and annexation threats, has become the top issue of the campaign.
But pocketbook concerns were front and center today for the party leaders on the first full day of the campaign. CTV's Mike LeCouture has those details.
In the Greater Toronto Area, affordability continues to be top of mind for voters. It's why all leaders focused on pocketbook issues on their first full day of this campaign. Right out of the gate, proposed tax cuts by the Liberals and Conservatives. At a cardboard factory in Brampton, Pierre Poilievre said he'd cut the lowest income tax rate. And to pay for it, he's eyeing government savings.
We will be cutting bureaucracy, cutting consultants, cutting back on handouts to insiders, and we will cut back on foreign aid to bring our money home to this country.
Liberals are also proposing a tax cut for people who earn just under $58,000 a year. Conservatives claim their plan would save a 2-income family $1,800 annually. The Liberal cut is smaller and would see that same family save $825 a year. But Carney claims the Conservative plan will mean program cuts.
He said, and now he's backed it up with an initiative, that he will eliminate, not just cut, eliminate childcare, eliminate dental care, eliminate pharmacare. He still doesn't have enough to pay. He's going to eliminate foreign aid.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet isn't proposing any tax cuts, but he is questioning how both the Liberals and Conservatives intend to fund their proposals.
I don't have to compete with that, but let me say something. How the hell do you intend to do that?
People are also dealing with a very serious housing crisis.
Affordability was also the focus of the NDP leader in Montreal. On a plot of land Jagmeet Singh visited 4 years ago during the 2021 campaign, he vowed to use federal land to build more than 100,000 rent-controlled homes over the next decade.
Our plan is to use every bit of federal land that's usable to build homes that are 100% affordable.
Expect affordability to be a central issue of this election. While the threat of U.S. tariffs is a concern to many, the possible recession that could come from a trade war is an even bigger concern for others. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
A rising price tag and some construction delays mean the new Thunder Bay Art Gallery on the waterfront won't be ready to open until 2027.
Officials with the gallery's board of directors say work on the project has been constant, but it's just not progressing quickly enough to keep up with the original deadlines. Justin Hardy reports.
So the original opening date was sometime in 2026. It's now been pushed back to 2027.
The delays for the Thunder Bay Art Gallery's new facility being built near Pool 6 comes despite continuous work being done on the site, according to interim board chair Leslie Bell. She says there are many reasons for pushing back the completion date, such as labor shortages and supply chain issues, but the main reason is due to obligations the building needs to fulfill for its federal funding.
We received a $19.6 million grant from Infrastructure Canada in June of 2022, and part of that grant is to make this a net carbon zero building. So the architects, who are Pat Cow from Vancouver, had to do some redesign around that. That's one of the reasons, but I think it's just general. Any construction that you look at is never delivered on time.
Along with the time frame, the cost of the project is also continuing to climb. In 2022, the estimated cost of the building was $50 million, but that number grew to $57 million by the time work began. Bell wasn't able to give an updated estimate at this time, but she did confirm that the price is higher.
Yes, the cost is continuing to rise, and again, like any other construction project, we had to deal with COVID, supply chain issues, labor costs increasing, and one of the things that we don't even know anything about is how tariffs are going to affect us.
Bell adds that the organization has ramped up its fundraising and is very thankful for the donations the campaign has already received.
We're going to be going back to previous donors. We're going to be looking for new donors. We are also going to be looking across the country because, as you know, this is a gallery for Indigenous art and the art of Northwestern Ontario.
Bell says that when the gallery does eventually open, it will be the jewel of the waterfront. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Thunder Bay OPP continued to investigate a fatal collision at Sistinen's Corner over the weekend. The single vehicle crash happened around 7:30 Sunday night. OPP say the transport was traveling eastbound on Highway 1117 at the Highway 102 junction when it apparently lost control and flipped over. A 47-year-old man from Strathmore, Alberta, was pronounced dead at the scene. The highway remained closed until this morning as the OPP's traffic incident team and the collision reconstructionists investigated.
Armstrong OPP have charged a 26-year-old Thunder Bay transport driver in connection with a fatal crash back in the summer of 2023. It happened on Highway 527 just after 11 a.m. on August 8th of that year. A 42-year-old driver from Armstrong was pronounced dead at the scene after their passenger vehicle collided with the transport. Mason Young is accused of dangerous operation causing death. He appeared in court today.
An Ontario court heard arguments today in a charter challenge of the new law that will close 10 supervised consumption sites across the province, including the one here in Thunder Bay. The sites are set to close by the end of the month. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the latest on the legal battle.
Inside a downtown Toronto courthouse, a fight to keep the province's supervised drug consumption sites open. On the street below, a show of support. Ontario passed a bill last year that will force 10 sites close to schools or daycares to shut down by March 31st.
We are challenging the law because it's discriminating against the people who use our services, and it's going to reduce health services in the middle of a terrible health crisis.
The lawyers behind this legal challenge argue the law violates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and Canada's Constitution. The right to life, liberty, and security are concerns. They contend the closure of supervised consumption sites will force people who use drugs into unsafe and unhealthy behavior.
We don't need people dying on the streets, we don't need people overdosing outside, and we certainly don't need people to have brain injuries because they didn't get oxygen.
The province counters with claims violence, drugs, and disorder are problems near the sites. They hired a private investigator to document it. The government's moving to an abstinence-based model, converting 9 consumption sites to what it calls heart hubs, homelessness and addiction recovery treatment centers. There are plans to add 18 more. And there's $529 million for 540 supportive housing units.
A spokesperson for the Minister of Health insists 9 heart hubs will be open April 1st when supervised consumption sites close. Advocates say there's no way that's going to happen.
First of all, it takes time to hire up staff, and second of all, the money never flowed to the organizations to open them up.
Dodd says the heart hub concept is unproven.
Just a series of case managers and system navigators to basically send people to a system that already doesn't have access.
The team behind the legal challenge wants an injunction to deal with the short-term threat of closure. But an answer on whether the rights of clients are being violated will take more patience and precious time.
People are afraid, people are angry, and people feel attacked. Attacked by their government, attacked by their neighbors, and unwanted in our community.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. Thunder Bay police arrested a 62-year-old man on Sunday for alleged sexual assault against a female youth. The name of the man is being withheld to protect the identity of the victim. He's accused of sexual assault, sexual interference, and sexual exploitation. He appeared in court yesterday and has been remanded into custody.
The first vessel of the Thunder Bay shipping season is officially in port a day later than expected.
The Captain Henry Jackman and the Samuel Risley icebreaker both arrived at the local harbor yesterday morning, but that huge snowstorm forced the grain ship to wait until today to enter the breakwall. Emma Chilton has more.
The 2025 shipping season kicked off a few days ahead of schedule this year. The icebreaker, the Samuel Risley, arrived in the local harbor early Sunday morning and managed to do some initial icebreaking. But once the heavy snow started falling, the Risley crew had to put a halt on their ice-clearing efforts. Port CEO Chris Heikkinen says the poor visibility did not allow the icebreaker to work safely.
Chances are they'll be back at it on Monday, and then with the clear weather, you'll probably see the ship crossing through that breakwall. Hopefully sometime on Monday, but you can never be 100% sure.
The delay in the ice-breaking also held up the final arrival of the season's first cargo ship, the Captain Henry Jackman. The ship left Sault Ste. Marie right after the Soo locks opened up on Saturday and arrived in the local harbor accompanied by the Risley early Sunday morning. But it had to wait another day to go directly to the Richardson Grain Terminal.
And the vessel that we were anticipating to come in to harbor today, they're anchored safely outside of the breakwall. And that's a good place for them to be while they wait out the storm.
On Monday morning, the Risley resumed its ice-breaking work inside the breakwall, and the Henry Jackman was able to dock at the Richardson terminal to be loaded up with grain. Heikkinen says it's a long-time tradition to hold a top hat ceremony for the first ship of the season. The snowstorm delays caused that ceremony to be pushed back by one day and will now be held on Tuesday morning.
We'll be bestowing the captain of the first vessel with this traditional top hat, and of course, some gifts and a welcome from the community. There'll be some community leaders in attendance and participating in that event, and we're really looking forward to kicking things off for another successful shipping season with a top hat ceremony.
Emma Chilton, TBT News.
An engineering firm that's been based in Thunder Bay for 3 decades continues to spread to other corners of the province. TBT Engineering now has locations in Kenora, Collingwood, and Ottawa. TBT Engineering currently employs anywhere from 120 to more than 200 employees depending on the season. The firm handles large-scale projects like the highway twinning between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. It's now aiming a little higher with offices in 5 cities. The new Kenora office comes as a result of a merger with the LBE Group, an engineering firm based out of that city. TBT Engineering President Scott Peterson says the expansion brings plenty of benefits for everyone involved.
So it's exciting. So we've got a lot of strengths that we've developed over the last 30 years of work that now we can bring to those new markets and jurisdictions, but as well the resources and expertise through these acquisitions, mergers, and relationships. Now we can bring those technical skill sets back to our clients in our communities in Northern Ontario where there's been a bit of a void or they haven't existed. So we're very excited to be able to share that back as well.
Despite the growth, the firm says it remains committed to its Northwestern Ontario identity.
A 26-year-old from Dryden faces 10 firearms-related charges for allegedly firing a gun inside a home in that community. Dryden OPP say it happened shortly after midnight on Friday morning. The incident sent one person to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The accused was scheduled to appear in court today.
A Thunder Bay resident and First Nations elder has won this year's CBC Canada Reads competition.
Manisha Kabe is a Two-Spirit Ojibwe Cree writer, artist, storyteller, and activist. And now she's also the 2025 Canada Reads winner. Justin Hardy has the story.
The winner of Canada Reads 2025 is a Two-Spirit Journey.
Oh my gosh.
Championed by Shayla Stonechild, a First Nations podcaster and wellness advocate, Manisha Kabe's autobiography, A Two-Spirit Journey, tells the story of her life as she comes to terms with her identity. Stonechild fiercely lobbied the Canada Reads panel during the final stage of the CBC competition, saying it's an important story to be told.
Here in Canada, there's 1.3 million people that identify that part of the LGBTQ plus community, yet a lot of them don't experience safety in their own body and they don't feel like a sense of home. And so that's what I admire about her journey is regardless of her not having an actual safe home, she still opened up her doors for everyone.
Shikabe says she isn't as excited about winning as she is to know that more people will now be able to connect with her story. The book was first released at an event at Lakehead University in 2016. It chronicles Shikabe's life from her childhood growing up in Ambabaka to her struggles with abuse and alcohol and finally her healing journey. She says she hopes the book's newfound prominence will inspire other people.
Especially want First Nations to read the book so they can start writing their stories or even have their grandmothers or their moms or their dads to write stories, and maybe the young people can encourage their parents, hey, tell us your story, we want to learn about your story.
In order to win Canada Reads 2025, A Two-Spirit Journey had to pass through 4 rounds of debate and voting. Stonechild did not waver in her support of Shikabe's work. Shikabe and Stonechild met online because they wanted to get to know each other, and now their bond is stronger than ever, according to Shikabe.
I think of her as my granddaughter now because she's my little warrior who did the book, and she championed the book, and she did a great job, and I'm so proud of her.
Shikabe urges everyone, young and old, to find any way they can to tell their stories.
The ones that speak English and the ones that don't, you can translate things to them and tell them that they should start writing their story for our future of our generations coming up.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Last Thursday marked the first official day of spring, but Mother Nature sure isn't acting like it. Environment Canada issued a winter storm warning on Saturday, projecting around 15 to 25 centimeters of snow to arrive. And it looks like the prediction wasn't too far off. Our reporters were out this morning asking people how they feel about this latest snowfall. Plenty of residents were out shoveling their sidewalks and driveways. Of course, it's not unusual to have a big dump of snow at the start of spring in Thunder Bay, and there were mixed feelings about the winter storm that came over the past 24 hours.
I'm not too keen on springtime having all this snow. It's bloody awful. What I am concerned about is as the day, warms up and it starts to melt, then it turns to ice, and there's never been any salt and sand down, and that's when it's really, really difficult not to fall.
A little more than expected, but I mean, we are in Thunder Bay. I've seen it in May long, so having the corner snow from the street beside us is a little bit of a pain, but I mean, it is what it is. You shovel what you got to shovel. It's lucky to be young at this point. I feel for some of the older crew, but this is, once again, Thunder Bay.
It is what it is. That's a major sentiment around town for sure. And yeah, it's not exciting necessarily for a lot of people, but also not surprising.
No, not surprising. And I do have to agree with the concern about the ice.
the one woman was speaking about the ice developing. There's still ice underneath that snow. I know, I was flat on my back on a sidewalk yesterday. It's very treacherous. So if you are heading out there, you know, be aware. This is the system that we were still dealing with today. It's fading off, it's kind of collapsing on itself, but it's not moving quickly. And there's been a continuing light snow in Thunder Bay, and especially in areas north of Lake Superior. So here in the city of Thunder Bay, we had light snow until about maybe 2 o'clock this afternoon, and then it was mostly cloudy. Winds started out about 9 kilometers per hour, but most of the day we had periods of gusts up to 35 km. Temperature-wise, not a lot of fluctuation. We had a low of -3 and wind chills of -8. We topped out at 0, which is what we were at just in the last hour or so, but wind chills really didn't move very much. They were ranging from -6 to -8 most of the day. Across the region, lots of sunshine to the west in Fort Frances, and they just managed to hit the plus side, as did Red Lake in the last hour. We're 0 in Kenora and Dryden, and then we slipped below. As I said, still a lot of snow from yesterday all through today and at this hour in Armstrong and Greenstone along the north and eastern shores of Lake Superior, just slightly below the freezing mark. And wind chills in the Sioux right now sitting around -7, and they've had a mix of snow and then mostly cloudy skies kind of waffling back and forth throughout the day. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we'll drop down to a low of -12, which is about 4 degrees below normal for this time of year. Wind chills will make it feel extra cool at -16. There's a 30% chance of a little bit more snow this evening, but after that, it clears out. And we too are going to reach above the freezing mark again. So it is going to be warmer during the day, but as that one resident mentioned, that means the potential for ice. So something to watch out for, especially first thing in the morning.
Yeah.